Coachella last night and spoke in front of the massive Coachella crowd. And as soon as Senator Bernie Sanders mentioned Donald Trump's name, the crowd started booing. And we're talking about a crowd that was 5, 7, 10x what was in that UFC crowd that Donald Trump was at in Miami, Florida. Here, play this clip.
Now we got a president of the United States who... I agree.
So yes, Senator Bernie Sanders yesterday started the day in Los Angeles in front of 38,000 people, again, like double or triple the size of that Trump UFC arena. And then he went to Coachella and spoke in front of an even bigger crowd. So as Donald Trump is blinking and folding once again on the tariffs, now his regime is saying there are exemptions. Them pathetic, said what they're doing was an absolute joke by raising the tariffs. And China started building, or they already have, but they're strengthening their alliances now, former friends of the United States. Trump announced exemptions on smartphones, on laptops and other electronic devices. But now Trump's regime members like Howard Lutnick were making their rounds and actually saying that despite the exemption for electronics over the weekend, things like iPhones and other electronics will in fact get their own special tariffs coming soon in a couple of months. Here's Howard Lutnick saying that. Let's play this clip.
So you're saying that the big tariffs on things like smartphones and laptops, iPhones, all those iPhones built in China, that those tariffs are...
So then the Trump regime puts on Peter Navarro this morning, who's asked about those exclusions that I just mentioned. And he goes, they're not exclusions, even though they're literally written as, whatever that formula was. Then a removal back to 10%, then 50% Chinese tariffs, 90% Chinese tariffs, 104% Chinese tariffs, 125% Chinese tariffs, 145% Chinese tariffs, electronics exempted, electronics now potentially back to be tariffed. And he goes, if you are a CFO, if you're a corporation, if you're working at a company, if you're a small business, if you're a medium-sized business, what do you do? At big companies, are you approving any investment in a country this unstable? What do you do? As Larry Summers, former Treasury Secretary, explained, the person who has a really artful deal here and who's getting much stronger is Xi Jinping of China. He goes, there's a winner in what's being pursued by Donald Trump. I'm sorry to say it, but the person who has a really artful deal here is Xi Jinping in China,